world was a very different place in the 1950s. Those European countries were having a post-war boom. The Korean War was going on, the Cuban Revolution, Rosa Parks. Harold Macmillan declared the British never had it so good. And in Germany, the country was split into two. We had West Germany and East Germany. And in the world of German football, in the West, we had Rot-Weiss Essen, who had just won the league in 1955, becoming the first German team to qualify for the European Cup. And in East Germany, we had Dynamo Dresden, founded in 1953, won the league in the same year, and it went on to become the most supported club and most successful club in the whole of the East German football. So historically, Dynamo Dresden are the predecessor of Dresdner SC, who won the German league in 1943 and 44. Eventually, when it was a unified country, eventually after the war, they were renamed SG Friedrichstadt. And during the 1950 championship final, there was a riot that went on. The German government saw Dresden, or Friedrichstadt at the time, as the bourgeoisie club, and they were dissolved. But Dresdner have a big history, as they were one of the founding members of the German FA in the year
1900.
Yeah, 1900 exactly, in Leipzig.
And noisy days swept away. No more feelings, life's the same. I only see myself in one night.
So Dynamo's sort of rapid succession, its big fan base started to attract attention from the wrong people, especially the deputy head of the Stasi, Erich Mielke. Now this guy, Erich Mielke, he was jealous. He was jealous of the fact that in Berlin, sort of in East Berlin, they were still following Hertha Berlin in the West. There was no real big East German team in the capital. So it wasn't really uncommon, it happened to Hansa Rostock as well, for East German clubs to move to a different city, and that's the case with Dynamo Dresden. Their players, after the 1953 sort of title win, were pushed and relocated from Dresden all the way to Berlin and formed Dynamo Berlin, which went on to be the most successful team in German football in terms of league titles, winning 10 in a row.
Days when I felt it right, I push it off like nobody can stop me. I feel like nobody's opting. If you know what you say you know.
The relocation of the club from Dresden to Berlin, it affected what was left behind. Much of the players had left. They got relegated, and it was not until 1962 where they made it back to the Oberliga, and then had to wait a further 10 years before they were back on top. But nevertheless, they still managed to dominate much of the 70s and the later part of the 1980s, winning a total of 7 league titles and 6 East German Pokals. However, one fascinating thing was in Europe, they had beat Benfica, Juventus, they had made it to the semi-final of the UEFA Cup in 1989, losing to Stuttgart, German rivals, but the big one was in the 1974 quarter-final of the European Cup, Champions League today. Guess who they played? Bayern Munich.
Really?
But what's interesting is that they lost 7-6 to Bayern Munich on aggregate, and to this day, it's the most goals Bayern Munich have ever conceded in a European tie.
No, feel like tripping, but I know that I feel like I was waiting and watching. I feel like I can know it, and I know what I have to show it.
Germany. Dynamo Dresden were one of several former DDR teams to actually play in the Bundesliga. However, it only lasted 4 years, from 91 until 1995. Like many stories in former DDR teams, what happens? They sink to lower divisions, the finances, and eventually they continue to sink lower. But in the case of Dynamo Dresden, they sank, but I would, and this is the bit that I think I'm going to leave for the stadium, but I feel like what I'm about to say, and many people would agree, that they probably have one of the most passionate and loyal, hardcore fan bases in the whole country. And that's probably what's kept them afloat throughout these years and has really pushed them on.
What the buzz is going on? You're not fooling anyone.
Soul of this stadium is K-Block, which is a sign which is directly right opposite us. It's the ultimate side. Now K-Block, the story or the legend started in 1983 in a home game against Magdeburg. Usually the fans used to sit in the G-Block, and then they got moved to K-Block, and it stayed there ever since. Now K-Block was just a normal fan base, but in the year 2000, several fan groups within the Dresden supporters, they came together to sort of form the main one, the big block, K-Block, and then from there on they started to financially support the club, and it took off. 2002 and it's been renovated various times, most recently in 2009. What do you think the capacity is?
Mit der 8 Satrik Habenbrock, mit der 9 Ron Berlinski, mit der 10 Thomas Eisfeld,
32,000.
mit der 11
You
Marco
can almost fit on a gym in
mit
here.
der 14 Lukas Gruber, mit der 16 Mustafa Koruma, mit der 24 Felix Wetzel, mit der 26
Looks like it's going to be a good game. But it's one of those games where the scoreline does not reflect the game. Like, it's been all Dresden and Essen have just scored two goals out of nothing. Like, really out of nothing. So, yeah, Dresden, it just hasn't happened before. They got to go back and then Essen took the lead again. But the atmosphere's been really good. The second half kicked off and Dresden pulled it back on the 47th minute, but unfortunately the game was quite stale from there on and there wasn't really any major breakthrough, except actually for the last minute. It was the 91st, 92nd minute. Dresden got a corner, they hit it off the crossbar and bounced off the line and out. To be fair to Dresden, I feel like, and a lot of fans will feel the same, the referee has had a shocker today. Like, the referee was really poor. There were so many decisions that you could see was a foul, and I think the referee today, honestly, had a really bad game. But in general, it was really good, and what a great way, man. This is why we love the lower depths of German football. The stadium is amazing. There's no bad seats. I feel like everywhere is really sit anywhere and the seats aren't going to be bad. Man, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5. You?
Yeah, I'd say 8.
8, yeah. 8's fair, to be fair. Yeah. Great choreography, great atmosphere, good stadium, good fans. Okay, so as we're leaving the stadium, we're making our way to the hub and off to go home. We just want to take a minute to just briefly touch upon Matthias summer. So Matthias Sommer, he was born in Dresden, started his professional career in Dresden under his father. He won 2 Oberliga titles in 89 and 90. The country unified. He moved to Stuttgart, won the Bundesliga in Stuttgart, went to Dortmund, won 2 Bundesligas in Dortmund, the UEFA Champions League, the European Cup of Germany, and most of all, he won the Ballon d'Or. Oh.